Hand over the pool keys. That was the first thing she said. No hello, no warning, just pure entitlement. Karen stood at the edge of my driveway, arms crossed, sunglasses glinting like badges of power she didn't earn. Behind her, 2 HOA board members held clipboards like they were on a crime scene. It was 2 p.m. The sun was sharp. I was cleaning my pool, music playing low until she cut through it all with that voice. Your pool violates HOA water use policy. We're confiscating your keys. I almost laughed, then I saw him, a black and white cruiser rolled up behind her, lights flashing. Out stepped a man in uniform, her husband. She didn't even look at him, just smirked. Officer Daniels, do your job. The neighbors started peeking through the blinds. One lady whispered, oh my God, they called the cops again. He walked toward me slowly, hand resting on his belt. Sir, I'm going to need those keys. I looked at him, calm, silent. The sound of pool water rippled between us. Then I said it quiet enough for only him to hear. You sure you want to do this, officer? Something in my tone made him hesitate, but Karen barked again. He's lying. He's been using unapproved chemicals. Check his backyard. He pulled his radio closer but stopped when I reached into my back pocket. Not for my wallet, for my badge. The sunlight hit the gold letters, First Federal Bureau of Investigation. His eyes widened. Karen froze, and for the first time that day. The only sound left was the gentle ripple of the pool. For a second, no one breathed. The only sound was the faint hum of the pool pump and Karen's voice, sharp as glass. Hand over those keys right now, or I'll have you arrested. Her husband took a step forward, hand resting on his holster, the badge on his belt flashing under the sun. Behind them, a few curious neighbors peeked from their patios, phones already recording. The HOA queen and her cop husband ready for a showdown. I didn't flinch. I just smiled. You sure you want to do this here? She smirked. Oh, I do. You think your little backyard pool makes you special? You broke the HOA water limit, you ignored 3 citations, and now, her voice stopped mid-sentence when I pulled a small black case from my pocket. I opened it just enough for sunlight to hit the badge inside, FBI. The color drained from her face. Her husband frowned, squinting. What is this? Supposed to be a prank. I stepped closer, calm, steady. You're standing in the middle of a federal surveillance zone, Officer Daniels. You might want to holster that weapon before you make a bigger mistake. Silence, the air shifted. Karen's jaw dropped. This is insane. You're lying. But she didn't know that peaceful blue pool behind me wasn't just a pool. For months, I'd been part of a joint operation investigating HOA fraud, real estate laundering, and illegal city permits. The entire water filtration system had been modified to hide cameras, acoustic sensors, and encrypted transmitters, what Karen called rule enforcement, the Bureau called cover-up, and she'd just walked straight into it. The rumble of engines broke through the suburban quiet, deep, powerful, synchronized. 3 black SUV rolled down the cul-de-sac like shadows swallowing sunlight. No sirens, no lights, just purpose. Karen turned, confused. What? What is this? Doors opened in perfect unison. Agents in suits stepped out, earpieces glinting. The neighborhood froze. Children stopped biking. Curtains moved. Phones went up. The lead agent nodded at me. Agent Cole. We've secured the warrant. Karen's husband blinked. Warrant for what? The agent didn't answer him. He turned toward the HOA office, that neat little brick building across the street with the community pride starts here. Banner flapping in the breeze. Sees every file, every hard drive, every payment record. He said into his radio, all of it. Karen's face twisted in disbelief. You can't do this. This is private property. I met her gaze, correction. It's evidence. And then chaos erupted, agents crossing lawns, neighbors whispering, camera flashes, the sound of printers and filing cabinets being ripped open. Karen's husband tried to step forward, but 2 agents stopped him. You're advised to remain on the sidewalk, sir. He looked at me. The realization settling in. You set us up. No, I said, you set yourselves up the moment you started abusing that badge for HOA intimidation. Minutes later, one of the agents approached with a folder. He flipped it open in front of Karen. Ma'am, these bank records trace multiple HOA payments to your personal account. Maintenance funds, permit fees, even water conservation surcharges. All redirected. Karen's voice cracked. No, that's a mistake, it's not. The agent replied, cold and factual. We've been following the trail for months. You and several board members are under investigation for embezzlement and racketeering." The crowd gasped. Neighbors who once feared her now filming her downfall. Karen stumbled back, shaking, her perfect suburban empire collapsing one truth at a time. And I just stood there, calm as ever. By the pool that started it all, she'd wanted my keys, but she just unlocked her own ruin. By the time the sun began to sink, the street that once belonged to the HOA queen looked like a crime scene. Yellow tape, black SUV, agents moving in and out of the brick office like clockwork. The neighbors stood in silence, phones still recording, eyes wide. For years, Karen had ruled them with fines, threats, and HOA letters of violation. Today, her power was melting faster than the ice in her fancy lemonade glass. Her husband, still in uniform, stood frozen on the curb, radio in hand, trying to process everything unraveling before him. The chief on the other end of the call wasn't gentle. "Daniels, turn in your badge." Now, he looked at me, that same cop who strutted onto my property an hour ago like he owned it, now pale, speechless, hollow. He dropped his radio, slowly unclipped his badge, and placed it on the hood of his cruiser. Karen broke down beside him. "This isn't fair." "I did this for the community." "You can't, community," I interrupted quietly. "You used your neighbor's money to fund private vacations. You used your husband's badge to threaten families. You thought power came from control." She turned, desperate. "Who even are you?" I stepped closer. The wind caught my jacket, and for the first time, the full FBI emblem came into view. Someone who doesn't like bullies hiding behind HOA rules. Her breath hitched. She tried to speak, but the words never came. The lead agent approached and handed me a file. "Everything checks out. They've been skimming funds for 6 years. Water usage fees, landscaping projects, security installations, all fake." Karen shook her head, trembling. "You don't understand. I built this neighborhood." I looked past her at the people she'd fined for painting their doors the wrong shade of blue. The single mother she'd forced to remove her backyard swing set because it was non-compliant. The veterans she'd called police on for parking their trucks in front of their own homes. "No," I said quietly. "You didn't build it. You poisoned it." The agents led her toward the SUV. Her husband followed, cuffed. The same man who once flashed his badge to scare people now walked with his head down, the sound of his own boots echoing off the wet pavement. As the car doors slammed shut, I turned back to the pool, calm again. The water still and perfect, like nothing had ever happened. But something had. Neighbors approached slowly, uncertain. One man whispered, "You're really FBI?" I nodded once. "Undercover since March." Another woman wiped her tears. "So all those HOA letters, the inspections." "That was part of it, yes," I said. "We were tracking where your dues were going. Every fine was a transaction and every threat was leverage." They looked at each other, relief, disbelief, maybe even a little guilt. Karen had made them afraid, and fear had made them obedient, but that fear was gone now. All that remained was silence, the kind that comes right before a neighborhood wakes up for the first time. I tossed my pool keys into the air and caught them again with a smirk. "Guess I get to keep these." The lead agent walked over, voice low. "Good work, Cole." "Bureau's proud." I looked toward the horizon, the sunset painting the water gold. It wasn't about pride. I said, it was about reminding people. Real authority doesn't come from a badge or a title. It comes from integrity. He nodded, heading back toward the convoy. As the engines roared to life and the SUV rolled away, I stood there, the last man on the street. The same street that once bowed to an HOA tyrant. Now free, a soft breeze rippled across the water. And in that moment, reflection staring back at me wasn't that of an agent, it was of a man who finally ended a war without firing a single shot. Because sometimes justice doesn't kick down doors, sometimes it just knocks. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more videos. Thank you. This video is a dramatized, AI-generated story created for entertainment purposes only.